Reliable medical alarms. How Care Calling Now's no response system beats traditional alerts. Many Australians worry about what might happen if an elderly parent living alone falls with no one around to help. For good reason. More than 1.2 million older Australians live solo, and falls are the #1 cause of accidental injury in older Australians. 1 in 4 people over 65 experiences a fall each year. Many families turn to personal emergency alert devices for peace of mind. But what if the very safety device you're counting on fails when needed most? It's a real possibility. A critical flaw in traditional medical alert devices, the press button problem. When traditional alarms fail, relying on a pendant button, or even an automatic fall detector, sounds sensible, until it fails. In reality, seniors often don't or can't activate their alert devices during an emergency. Many elderly people even forget or refuse to wear their pendants, and among those who do, a shocking 80% never press the button when it matters. During a fall, a person might be knocked unconscious or too disoriented to reach the device. If the system depends on the user pressing a button, no press means no help is dispatched. It's not uncommon for us to find an elderly fall victim who had a call button, but never activated it, says Lachman Barrett, a veteran paramedic and yoga instructor at Poses. The truth is, these systems often fail at the worst time, when the person is incapacitated and can't push the button. Even high-tech fall detectors aren't foolproof. These sensors can miss certain types of falls or trigger false alarms from everyday movements. In fact, experts warn not to rely on them completely since they're not 100% accurate. It's a frustrating paradox. The moment help is needed most is exactly when the user might be unable to ask for it. Too often, an elderly person who falls is left unaided on the floor for hours because no alarm was triggered. This dreaded, long lie, isn't just frightening, it's dangerous. Being down for a prolonged time is linked to serious complications like dehydration, hypothermia, and even death if no one knows an accident happened because the button wasn't pressed or the fall wasn't detected. Help may arrive far too late. A reliable alternative. Care Calling Now's no response trigger. Thankfully, Care Calling Now offers a better solution. It eliminates the weakest link, waiting for the user to call for help, by using an automated, no-response trigger. For example, the service places a scheduled daily phone call to check in. If your loved one answers and confirms they're okay, all is well. But if there's no response, that absence itself triggers an alert to family or emergency contacts. In other words, if they can't come to the phone, the system automatically flags a potential problem and gets someone to check right away. Your senior doesn't have to do anything. If they're incapacitated or can't reach the phone, the system has them covered. Here are the key benefits of Care Calling Now's unique approach, and why its no-response trigger is more reliable than traditional alerts. 1. No button needed. Help triggers itself. Care Calling Now will send an alert even if your loved one can't press a button. This is a huge advantage over standard medical alert devices, because if they can't press the pendant, a traditional system does nothing. With a no-response trigger, simply not picking up the phone for the daily check-in is enough to sound the alarm. Whether your loved one is unconscious, in shock, or too weak to move, the system doesn't wait for them to take action. The help request happens automatically. 2. No wearable device to forget. A big issue with typical emergency alarms is that they only work if the person is actually wearing the device. Seniors frequently forget or even refuse to put on their pendants. If it's not on them, it can't call for help. Care Calling Now eliminates this worry. There's nothing extra to wear or remember. The safety check comes through a normal telephone. Your loved one doesn't have to learn any new gadget or habit. If they can answer a phone, they're protected. And if they don't answer that phone, you'll be alerted immediately. 3. Daily check-ins. Catch problems early with scheduled check-in calls. You'll know within hours, not days, if something goes wrong. If an elderly person is left on the floor too long after a fall, the risk of serious injury rises dramatically. By getting an alert the same day, often within minutes of a missed check-in, you can intervene before a minor mishap turns into a major crisis. This regular contact essentially prevents the nightmare scenario of a fall going unnoticed. 4. Peace of mind for everyone. Perhaps the greatest benefit is the peace of mind this system provides. The constant fear of, what if mom falls and nobody knows, can be debilitating for families. Care Calling Now relieves that worry by guaranteeing you'll be notified if something might be wrong, every single day. You no longer need to feel guilty for not being there 24/7. Your loved one gains reassurance too. They can go about their day independently, knowing that someone will find out if anything happens. It's a huge comfort on both sides, easing anxiety for the whole family. Build a safer way forward for older adults with Care Calling Now. Traditional wearable medical alarms have some serious blind spots. Care Calling Now's no response system closes those gaps by flagging an emergency even if the person in trouble can't call out, removing those nagging, what if doubts entirely. Care Calling Now is the solution if you're looking for a reliable medical alarm for your loved one. Don't wait for an accident to expose the flaws of an old button alarm. Contact Care Calling Now today to learn more or get started. You can then rest easy knowing your loved one is protected. Author credit Jeff Kendi. So you have been searching why it's difficult to get a reliable medical alarms. How Care Calling Now's no response system beats traditional alerts.